Well, of course, it's 5 minutes past 8. Still driving. That is the business. That's been, of course, the business tips and quotes. Quite very key to start your day. Hope you've been inspired by what you have been beholding right there. But of course, don't forget the markets on the Zabo platform, which will be opening at 8:15, just a few minutes from now. 10 minutes from now, the markets are going to be opening. Star 292 hash is the USSD code, which will avail you with quite lots of those options where you can buy government bonds and securities for as little as 15,000 Ugandan shillings. Yes, now the markets open at 8:15 and they'll be closing at 3:15 p.m. That is East African time, effective Monday up to Friday, except on the weekends and the public holidays when you can access these markets, but actually have the rest of the days to capitalize and make quite some huge profits, and which could be very key and vital to cover up your trade deficits just in case you incurred any throughout the week. So Zabo made this a reality. All you need is your mobile phone and dial star 292 hash regardless of the location. Now Zabo says my money, my future, and all Texas Africa says do something new. Now, heading into the further discussions here, yesterday, President Yoweri Museveni went in Namutumba district, of course, celebrating, that is the Labor Day. Quite lots of aspects were discussed, but amongst those discussions were what we call the core factors. And, this was in regarding to what the President Yoweri Museveni said, that let us focus, that is on creating jobs for all Ugandans. And yes, that would be the core factor. When we have Ugandans living a proper livelihood. Now, President Yoweri Museveni said that as Uganda was joining the rest of the world, that was yesterday, the country's focus should be more to create enough jobs for all Ugandans, as opposed to discussing that is the welfare and enhanced of the few employed Ugandans. And of course, making sure that the small population of Ugandans that we have that are employed, we increase on it furthermore. Now, speaking at the Namutumba district at the celebrations, of course, where the National Day celebrations were being held, President Yoweri Museveni noted that whereas the welfare and remuneration of the workers is important, there is need to create more jobs and do away with unemployment, and which is quite a great concern for the government and the country, as only a small fraction of just 10 million people were employed, while the rest really into the state of unemployment. Something quite not remarkable if we have the unemployed more than the employed. Now, the president therefore asked all the citizens to support the government programs that are focused on job and wealth creation, such as the parish development model, and he said that this will help generate enough jobs for the entire population. Actually, President Yoweri Museveni says that the parish development model will create about 70 million jobs. That is, if seriously and efficiently handled. In his very own statement, he says, if we seriously implement the parish development model, we shall generate, that is, about 70 million jobs in the 7 million homesteads across the country. That is through modern agriculture. That's agriculture alone. Now, the colonial lists created enough jobs for Ugandans and even imported labor from neighboring countries by introducing cash crops in pre-independence. That is according still to President Yoweri Museveni, further noted on that course. The president, however, noted that there were two major hindrances to the country's development agenda, signing out the corruption, political class, and civil service. And of course, here in a statement, he said that who either demand bribes or delay the decision making, which he says it increases the cost of doing business in the country. Of course, he has gone really further ahead when it comes to curbing corruption by establishing another anti-corruption unit within the State House. Something very, very key and vital. Still further in the statements of President Yoweri Museveni, he said, we are going to have a big fight with corruption, and I don't want you to fall victim to this negative vice. Quite a very strong warning the president passed out there. Now, let's join hands and fight corruption and be part of the future, that is, of the new Africa. President Yoweri Museveni appealed to all Ugandans, not just the people in government, but its responsibility of all Ugandans. Now, the president further added that because of the correct policy decision, that is by the national resistance movement, such as the returning, that is of the Indian properties and the liberalization of the economy, among others, the country managed to attract further investors, and the economy was managed to jump from 1.5 billion US dollars in 1986, to 50 billion US dollars today, notwithstanding the fact that the economy is largely actually dependent on raw materials and have not done a lot of value addition. Well, I'm joined with Joram as we have further discussions regarding these insights. Very good morning, Joram, and very welcome.
Good morning. Good morning.
Yeah. I was so amazed by, like I always say, we discuss many aspects, but the core factor of every Ugandan is their welfare. Ugandan doesn't really want to know all this saga, NSSF, these iron sheets, and like putting emphasis on such issues. There is a Ugandan down there who doesn't even know what's happening, but is not having the proper welfare. Such a person wants to hear programs like PDM being the deal. President Yoweri Museveni says it's going to create 70 million jobs. Is it real? Vis-a-vis a population
maybe when you look at the industries that may be set, or how much more does the government, more money that the government is going to input in such programs.
Such programs.
Because when you input such money in those programs, because the initial goal of the parish development model was looking at getting all Ugandans into the money economy. The money economy, yes.
So
when we mentioned the money economy, I think it was making sure that every Ugandan can at least have their own money.
Money, exactly.
So if you have your own money, that means you're independent enough to buy, sell.
Definitely, yes.
At least have an independent life. It is being financially dependent on yourself. It's more if we are to raise household incomes, the president was putting it out there. But besides that, yesterday during the International Labour Day celebrations in Namutumba, you get to realize that when he mentions further that we need to create room for jobs, because I think the idea about the high rate of unemployment in the country is because first there is lack of employment
opportunities, yes, within the very true.
And then two,
yes,
the available employment opportunities quite have huge competition
and some corruption tendencies still within. Yes,
if you want to get a job, you have to pay for it.
Exactly,
you have to pass through different.
Very true.
Different venture, different avenues
before
you get this job. So this is making it really hard for some other people to get the money, and especially in an economy which is money driven, whereby we are earning money for day-to-day living. We're not only earning money for you can't earn
for future,
yes. You're only earning money for today. It's a daily income kind of economy that we're living in as a country. So besides that, when you look at what the president's intention was, well, creating room for employment opportunity or creating room for jobs. That is, how do you create jobs? Create an environment that can support the young people, not only setting up industries, but creating, because as you can see, the president there, he was actually going through different stalls to at least see and identify what the products made by Ugandans, taking us back to the Buy Uganda, Build Uganda. Now all those are products made by Ugandans. Now how you create more jobs in such situations is you create a free market space for them to compete with the kind of market that we have here.
Okay.
Not only allowing goods coming in from the other countries, but also focusing on which goods do you have on ground, and how can the people get the market.
Okay. And I love the fact that focusing on the youth, whereby as they invest in these big businesses, which will later actually grow, because this is what they can afford at the moment. This is within their reach, because we cannot talk about investments that are worth heavy investments. So and we know that our population majority of it is here, and such an initiative would be something very key. Well, 15 minutes past 8, still driving your business here, and that is the morning call regarding President Yoweri Museveni saying they should focus on promoting the welfare of Ugandans, and one of the vehicles to that is the parish development model, which will create 70 million jobs. That's according to President Yoweri Museveni, if managed very efficiently. Now, away from that, let's cross over here to the countries in Africa which really have the strongest currencies. I mean, that could be a question you could be asking yourself. Okay, majority of us are so familiar with probably the Kenyan shilling, the shilling that's within East Africa. But then let's have a comparison as we take a look at currencies vis-a-vis the dollar rate.
Well, I think this takes us back to the issue that is actually trending globally. There is an incident with the fact that before the Eastern countries, or from the Eastern Bloc, countries from the Eastern Bloc, Russia, China, and everyone, have come out to start using their own currencies in regards to, let's say, trading.
Yes, very true.
And I remember we once had an update where Indians and Tanzanians decided to have an understanding that if they are to trade, they should be using Indian rupees. That if a Tanzanian is to import a commodity
from India,
exactly, you should be importing a commodity directly to you should be importing using the Indian rupees.
And if India is getting from Tanzania,
yes,
they do the same.
They do the same because they want to avoid over the dominance of the US dollar. And besides that, when you look at some of the African currencies, looking at, I've been seeing a clip in there about Nigeria, where you look at Nigeria was actually already shifting even to the e-naira, as you can see from there. They're actually shifting to the e-naira and everything. Besides the e-naira, they also have a focus on pretty much what you could say, looking at opening more opportunities for for not only using the Nigerian currency but also maybe the US dollar. But in Africa, the US dollar is still dominating.
It is still.
Besides the fact that other countries, the Eastern Bloc is pushing for the use of the Chinese yuan, it is more used now in
actually
trade.
There is fear that that's an economic war that is coming
against the US dollar mainly.
The Western
and the Eastern Bloc, I think.
Eastern Bloc. It's time to see the world a new currency taking over. The age is done, the age of dominance of the United States of America. But
I think it will be a difficult one, more so in Africa here, because I want to believe normally, we tend to rate our currencies their weight to the US dollars.
Of course,
and regardless of the fact that it's not, ideally doesn't seem to be the strongest in terms of if you exchange it, you'll get to realize the pound. The pound sterling is more valuable. But in terms of trade,
of course,
the US dollar is dominant.
More famous.
And quite dominant. Yes, it does seem like it's the universal standard currency that we use for the moment. But obviously, there are quite a number of those, as you've actually highlighted. If you're to look at the comparison of the top currencies in Africa, for the viewers out there to at least see what we actually have for them.
Let's take a look at the currencies as we get from the top currency coming down here. Yes, of course, coming number one is the Tunisian dinar. And we see that $1 US dollar gives you 3.14 Tunisian dinars. That is quite interesting. So the Tunisian dinar coming number one. And now we see that Tunisia has the highest currency in Africa with dinars, and this country is also an Arabic country located in northern Africa, and it is home to one of the unique currencies that attract foreign investors, that is to the businesses. Now the Tunisian dinar is pegged to the euro, as it uses this currency along with Algeria's dinar to form a common currency. And this is interesting now, like the same as we see the East African region. Now this reason is its stability, as it has a strong support from other countries. I think even trading with Europe, being so close to that gulf that connects North Africa to countries like Portugal, Spain, and so many other related inside.
What surprises me is that the Ghanaian cedi has been having, Ghana's currency has been having issues. And surprisingly on the list here, it does seem like it is one of the strongest.
Top three, actually.
It's which shows you, because by trading it on a dollar to get 1 US dollar, it is 9.80 Ghanaian cedis.
Very interesting.
So if it's 9.8 here in Uganda, it is quite. We're actually buying a dollar at over 3,700 or 3,600. Depends on the trends in the market. But when you look at the Ghanaian cedi there, I think it is the best when you look at Sub-Saharan Africa.
Sub-Saharan Africa.
It is the strongest when it comes to Sub-Saharan Africa. Coming in third place, below Tunisia, the Tunisian dinar and the Libyan dinar. Then following up is the Moroccan dirham. I think this one is also very strong, really, and I think this also contributes to why these economies are actually not performing badly off in regards to
inflation and all what's happening. Somebody said if somebody now. Because when you still look now, Morocco coming here as number 4, it's been facing high inflation during the Ramadan. I think we even had a report regarding that in the recent month of Ramadan. But you still see the currency is very interesting. This shows you to the extent at which the forefathers laid foundations for these currencies, that even despite hard times, these currencies are still competitive. They are not, they don't lose value to the maximum. So like somebody tells you, if I had, if we are to, for example, I'm estimated at 50 billion, and let me say you're estimated at 100 billion. Once, okay, I've overestimated, you are at 100 billion dollars.
Yeah.
I'm estimated at, let me say, 70 million Ugandan shillings. Then, for you who's 50, you wake up one day and your net worth is $10 billion. And me who's at 70 million Ugandan shillings, I wake up when I'm 700 million Ugandan shillings. I seem to have prospered.
But by the look of things, that is because of the market. In the Ugandan perspective, you're recognized as a high net worth individual. I think that goes back to the list we had the other time, looking at countries in Africa with high net worth individuurs or individuals in million US dollars.
Million US dollars.
And we had none in Uganda in the top 10. So ours are in the top 20, those high net worth individuals. But relatively, Tanzania and Kenya are way above us.
Way above, yeah, definitely.
So because I think their kind of trade is, but I think one of the reasons behind it is the fact that these billionaires or millionaires in dollars in other countries in Africa always publicly declare their worth.
Exactly.
So in that, even when you go onto a social platform or you go onto Google to search about an individual, Wikipedia,
there is
clear information about where the person gets the money, how much their worth is, or how much they make a year, how much they earn. But in Uganda here, it is always about someone keeping it away from the media.
They keep so much of the media.
So everyone is just hiding information. I think when you do the entertainment business, you will agree with me.
Absolutely.
When you look at the musicians away from Uganda, it is very easier to trace their net worth. Very easier to know how much they make from endorsements. But in Uganda here, even sitting down with an artist for an interview to ask them how much money do you make a year?
Yes.
They'll be like, this is more secretive, my management. And then you ask yourself, this is your money. I believe no one is going to take it away from you. So I think there's a lot of
I would also even question the very, still on the academic side, I would still question the management. Why do you have that mindset of limiting? What are you hiding?
Yeah.
Now, back to here, most of these individuals, we've been talking about, it's easy to trace back their wealth.
Yes.
There is also this aspect of financial markets, the developed financial markets in these countries.
Yes.
Because most of these people that own enterprises which are publicly listed on the stock markets in their countries, and people can actually buy shares.
You can easily see our Ugandan shilling is actually
down there,
way below when you look at the African strongest currencies.
Now Sierra Leone is even 13,000. Wow. Uganda coming there, last 3 almost, That is quite very sad.
Amongst the last 5.
Last 5 actually, you know. So,
and the Tanzanian shillings follow suit. However much, even the Tanzanian shilling is below, is amongst the lowest currencies. But of course, this clearly shows you that at times the currency doesn't determine the strength of the economy, because Tanzania's economy is way better than some of those other economies.
Not like Uganda. I'm even surprised that Tanzania is close to Uganda, because if you have to weigh down the current moves Tanzania is making every other day.
No, besides that, because when you look at even the countries we looked at as the economies to look out for, to watch out for in Sub-Saharan Africa, Tanzania is among the top 5. So, which clearly shows you that at times the currency level may not determine.
May not be the biggest
because it goes back to the standard of living within the country. How do people maintain their standards of living? What is the minimum wage? How much do people earn inside there?
You know, Jerome, actually there are currencies we don't know about. For example, the Kuwait currency. It's very high value, but
everyone does say it's very high value, around 12,000 Ugandan shillings.
Oh my goodness. You see, buys I think how many dollars? How many? I'll check very well. But there are some good dollars which you need for you to get one Kuwait currency. But now this is a currency you'll never see on top trends in markets. But the individual, so that clearly explains to you how the countries in that the citizens in that nation are living. You know,
sure thing.
Very fine and very efficient. Well, 26 past 8, that's been a review of Africa's top currencies there. And I guess you're quite surprised by what you've probably been looking at. The South African rand, well, maybe probably we had anticipated that it's one of those currencies that, and I know you could be anticipating, it's one of those currencies that seem to be very okay. I mean, so many Ghanaians go to South Africa and they say, I mean, I want to get some good money from there, but it's not even on the top 5 currencies. So probably if you went to Tunisia and you earned some dinars there, when you come here, probably you could be having quite some good money on you, because it's topping the countries in Africa with the strongest currency. Well, let's get into a short break, and definitely when we return, we shall be giving you the insight in what's happening in the world of sports and entertainment business at the same time. Stick around. A very good morning.